tell me a little bit about the latest song, Sweet Magnolia? What's kind of the story behind it?
That's actually a song that I wrote for my fiance about 3 years ago. It was actually a joke. It wasn't a joke, but it was a long damn ride. It's inspired by one of our good friends that lives in the New Hampshire, New England area, actually in Pennsylvania, but he's from New York. And we'll have been together for 7 years in October, and she had been joking that I wrote songs about my friends before I wrote songs about her. So I wrote it kind of like as a lullaby. It wasn't really intended to leave our house. And then Cedric heard me planning to practice one day and insisted that we record it and make it a Magnolia Bayou song. And it just kind of went from this lullaby to this soaring southern rock ballad. So it's about being away from home, being on the road, and missing home, thinking about that one person or that support system that you have back at home that gives you the courage to even be out on the road doing what you're doing in the first place. You know, your original supporter is the one that have pushed you to follow your dreams. And I wanted to use, the original lyric was still Magnolia because it is a woman that exemplifies fortitude, and that was the picture that I was trying to paint.
Oh, that's really nice. And what was her reaction to it? Did she love it?
She loved it, yeah.
I hope so. I mean, I would, you know. That song was written for me. I would love it. And so the new album, Strange Place, it'll be out September 24th.
Yes.
Coming up soon. I have to say, 11 tracks, and listening to it, because I got a copy, advanced copy, you know, from start to finish, it's very solid. It has soul, it has grit, and I have to say, like, the musicality really grabs your attention.
Right on. Yeah, thank you. Awesome, thank you. That's what we were going for. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and the two other songs you've released so far, Tupelo and Thieves, you know, I think the singles you chose so far, it kind of shows off each side of the album. You know, there's the slower ones and then the more up-tempo. Was that done on purpose?
I think so, yeah. We released Tupelo first because we kind of wanted, it was about midway through summer, and we kind of wanted one of those songs you could ride down with your top down. You know, it's not hard rock, it's not super soft, it's just soulful, just easy listening music. Then of course we released Thieves because we wanted to show off the funky rock side of the band. Thieves is actually Josh's favorite song. Actually,
one of my favorites
because he tears.
Yeah, I actually love it too. It's got like a cool bass riff. I love the bass in it, and then, you know, the drums. It's a really cool song.
It's pocket. Yeah. It's what we call pocket.
So we're trying to showcase you know, our music is kind of a big melting pot of everything that we listen to, which we don't ever put ourselves in a corner. We all listen to literally everything. Yep. So we kind of wanted to showcase that with the singles.
And last record was like 8 songs, and you know the running time was around the same. So we kind of wanted to mix it up a little bit this go around, kind of, you know, go in this direction and that direction and see how it went, and it turned out really well.
Yeah, I think so. We're excited for that. And you guys have any music videos planned for any of the songs, or not at the moment?
We're working on a bona fide lyric video, but that's about it for right now. Of course, we've got big plans to do things later on down the road when things are a little bit better and things like that. But so far, just that.
I mean, hey, can't complain, you know, got a solid album coming out. I want to kind of switch gears and kind of ask you guys some questions to get to know your background with music. Do you guys remember the first moment where you decided you wanted to pursue music?
It's one of two for me. I think from what I remember, it was either when I watched School of Rock for the first time.
Good movie.
Jack Black is a huge hero of mine. To be 7 years old and see other kids my age playing music in a band was incredibly inspiring. So it was either that, or I think, I don't remember which came first. I remember my mother was playing Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC on a little bitty radio. And I had to have been 6 or 7 years old. And she was like, this is AC/DC. And I fell in love with it. And I think we went out and bought an AC/DC record like the next week. And that's about as far back as I can remember. That was kind of set the trajectory, I guess, for me.
That's cool.
So mine comes from, a lot of musicians get their interest in playing instruments for going to church. I never actually played in church, but I just remember my youngest memory is always sitting by the drums, and I'm like, man, I want one of those in my house.
Yeah, drums are cool. That was actually my first instrument. I attempted to play when I was very young. I mean, yeah, drums are just fun.
Well, parents, about 6th grade, I got my snare drum, went in the band. I was like, this crap. Stay with it. So my parents like, if you want a drum set, you're gonna have to buy it. So I had to wait till I was like 16. Got my first job, got my first kit, and I wanted to be in a band because I was a huge fan of Korn. They inspired me to want to actually be in a band and make music and kind of, I guess, do it more seriously, but it was still more fun being in my teenage years. So those are the big two things, church and Korn, I guess.
Nice.
Church and Korn go so well together.
Makes a great after church meal too. Delicious.
I would say my biggest influence to do this was my older brother. He was on drumline, and whenever I was going through middle school, I went into band mainly to be like my brother. I was on the drum line, and then senior year, I picked up bass guitar and met Dylan the next day. So just kind of happened real quick. So.
Nice.
All fell into place. Well, I was about 8 years old, and my cousin Devin said, "Hey, man, I want to show you something." And he opened the door to his room, and he had a Marshall full stack and a SG just sitting there, and he just played a power chord, and I was like, Jesus, like, that kind of, it resonated with me, and
Gripped your soul.
It slammed me up against the wall, with sound, and I can only imagine what Jimi Hendrix did, back in the 60s, doing the same thing, cover your ears, Yeah, it was powerful, and I was like, that's something that I'll never,
Recover from.
never recover from either.
No, that's a good taste. Good introduction to music.
He's still 50% deaf.
Mhm. What do you say?
And do you guys remember the first concert you ever attended?
First one I remember was Charlie Daniels down in Biloxi, Mississippi. That was the first concert I can ever remember going to, and it was pretty incredible.
Mine, man, my first concert, my older brother took me to a rap concert, and I got exposed to the Special Letters for the first time. But like my first real concert, I guess, with bands, who was it? I think it might have been Skillet before they blew up. I saw them in a church down here. They put on an awesome show, and then I think one after that I saw Journey, which was a life changer. Really
Journey with Steve Perry?
Perry, they had another younger guy at the time. It was back in 06, I think, transitioning. So, but they were awesome, man. The guy they had at the time, I think it's like Jeff Scott Soto or something was his name.
Something like that.
Yeah, he sings with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, I think, still right now too as well. But yeah, them and Def Leppard, I saw them, and that was purely amazing. I was like heavily inspired by that concert. So.
First time I went to a concert, I can barely remember it, but it was Red Hot Chili Peppers. My parents took me.
Yeah, they put on a good show.
Concert.
Yeah. My first one, I was about 4 years old. I don't really remember it very much, but it was Bob Dylan. I remember that my dad actually got in a fight with a gentleman in front of me because, like, you know, he
You call me short.
A fight at a Bob Dylan concert?
Bob Dylan concert. Yeah. Anyway.
It's not that shocking. He's
Yeah.
gotten in fights with people at our shows. So.
My father gets in fights with people. I'm just kidding. Not always.
That's all good.
Oh.
He's well.
Hmm.
It's all good.
He's gonna go back and be like, "What the hell?"
He's gonna roast me for this.
Oh, I guess that kind of shows the different influences within the band.
Yeah.
What was your first concert experience?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I actually saw Def Leppard as well, but they were with Tesla and Styx. I think that was like my first big rock and roll concert.
That's a hell of a lineup.
I would love to see Styx myself. That drummer is just phenomenal.
It was a good show, yeah. Actually, that was in New Hampshire, way up north in New Hampshire.
Man, I was surprised New Hampshire gets like artists. When we went up there last year, and they have this amphitheater in Guilford where our buddies and Michael Vincent band live up there, and hey, it's like a little hideaway. I'm like, dude, they've had like countless of just amazing groups come up.
I think that actually was where I saw Def Leppard in Guilford.
Yeah.
It's a hot spot, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of classic rock bands that pass through there.
Like Tedeschi Trucks band was up there, like, you know, shortly before we were up there, and then Dave Matthews band was up there right around the same time. And geez, man, I didn't realize y'all got these guys.
Yeah.
You know? Guys,
I guess they need to go somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
We don't get nothing now.
We don't get anything. I
Yeah.
mean, the closest we've got is like Orange Beach, the Wharf, but it's so freaking hot and muggy. It's not a bad venue, but you know, you got to travel down here to go see cool stuff.
Nobody ever complains about going an hour west of New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where all the
New Orleans is where it's at,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hop in the car and go an hour and 15, and then you're in Music Haven, you know.
Yeah, that's where is jazz still big in New Orleans, or is it
Jazzville. You know, obviously with the COVID, I mean, there was a whole bunch of cool stuff. They used to do Jazz Fest every year, Voodoo Fest around, you know, this time of the year. But yeah, you know, this year sucks. COVID is crushing all the music right now, and that's
I know, it's sad.
Drew and I actually saw Drew and I and his fiance and our really good buddy Tyler went and saw Government Mule in New Orleans during Jazz Fest, like just throughout the, you know, month of Jazz Fest essentially. And they had like special guests and stuff, like Soul Live and stuff, and they played for, you know, music was happening for like 5 hours, like from the start of Soul Live until the time that Warren Haynes and Government Mule got off. It was like 5.5 hours. It was monstrous.
He plays like 2 hours and then he goes and probably takes a smoke break and he comes back and he plays for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, it's funny because, like, you know, when we started out as a band, we played 4-hour gigs on the bar circuit, and we're like, man,
this sucks.
Warren
It's
Haynes
exhausting.
played 4 hours every night by choice. We're like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like after 2 hours, I'm like, man, I'm ready to hit the shower.
Right.
Somebody else go.
Well, and like, you know, the Allman Brothers played for, you know, like 3 hours sometimes, and, you know, 4 hours, and it's like,
I don't even know what a Grateful Dead concert is like. It's probably like a
3.5,
whole day.
and then a set break, and then another hour.
Where you some snacks and drinks is gonna be all night.
They're back there snacking and sipping wine that's also tampered with, you know.
That's exhausting.
Yeah.
Even as a concert goer, just standing for 2 hours is enough for me. I can't imagine playing for longer than that.
Right, and dancing around and, you know, gets to be a bit much.
So, what else can you tell us about Strange Place? That what can people expect from it? If you were to describe it to a new fan.
It's like going into a vortex. Into the upside down. The Strange Place. Yeah. No, it's a pretty well-rounded album. I think. I think there's some pretty heavy hitters on there that people haven't heard yet. We're pretty hard rock band by nature, and we've tried to showcase our softer, funkier, more soulful side with these singles, but the darkest and the heaviest is yet to come, I would say. It's still very well-rounded, though. There's some stuff that people haven't heard ever played live. Pretty about 2 songs and some treats on there. We're really excited for people to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the album cover. Is it the same person who did your last album cover?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Her name is Caitlin Madison. She is based in California.
She's awesome. She's fantastic. She does incredible work. She's been around the town with people, and as opposed to Black Crows and guys like that, and she's kick-ass.
I have to agree. I love it.
For like Chris Robinson and stuff like that. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's pretty badass. It's actually Robert Johnson on the album cover. We wanted to represent, because a lot of the theme in the album, the first album thematically it dealt with a lot of emotion, personal emotion, and it was about transitioning in life. And then the second album was more. A lot of the theme on the album surrounds is kind of about us going out onto the road as a band, transitioning from a local bar band to going out on the road and traveling and being away from home all the time. And, just the road can be a very strange and mystifying place. You meet a lot of great people, you see a lot of great things, and you also have a lot of really weird experiences.
Yeah.
The album is supposed to be representative. Robert Johnson represents Mississippi. And the jar that he's holding is kind of representative of our sound, and our brand is Magnolia Bayou. And he's just going out into this weird, strange world and kind of spreading the message that is Mississippi. And it was really a weird coincidence. We actually named the album and came up with the theme well over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then after we had released the album cover, we'd been into we were probably like 4 months into the pandemic, and everybody was like, "Did you name it Strange Place because of what's going on in the world?" And we're like, "No, that's just a really, really coincidence."
Yep. Like we had printed essentially the album cover, 8 months, before the pandemic, 6 months, 8 months ago and several months before the pandemic. But, we were ready to roll with that, as soon as we were, so it just happened that way. Weird coincidence for sure.
It is a coincidence. But yeah, that makes sense. Strange Place, meaning, going on the road, being away from, your typical surroundings.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Not a bad thing. Strange, strange doesn't mean, we love being on the road. We love meeting people. But you definitely have some peculiar experiences, some strange, odd experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Fun campfire stories, fun barbecue stories.
No, that would be a good series you could do where you sit around and just tell about your strange experiences on the road.
Not like a podcast.
Yeah.
The
Good
Strange
podcast.
Tales from the road.
Then you can have other bands come on and talk about theirs, kind of compare and contrast your stories.
Yeah, this is cool. Gotta cut now.
I'm from the Loves.
Strange Place. Our guest here tonight is.
Heck yeah, man.
But you guys have played with a lot of cool bands. I was reading about, some of the bands you shared the stage with. Is there one that sticks out the most to you guys?
We played with a lot of great bands. Blackstone Cherry, Tyler Childers was obviously very exciting to get to share the stage with Tyler Childers. We're all massive Tyler Childers fans. If I would have to pick one that stuck out, it would have to be opening for Wet Willie in Mobile, Alabama. Maybe 2 years ago now? A year and a half, 2 years ago. Jimmy Hall's, what is he, in his 70s?
Yeah,
It was a very surreal feeling because Wet Willie was a massive band in the 70s, along with Skinner, Wet Willie, and the Allman Brothers. They're kind of one of those that kind of carried the torch for Southern rock and paved a lot of road for a lot of younger musicians like us. And I have a lot of their records vinyl, and I listened to a lot of their stuff early on in the bands. It was a pretty surreal experience just to stand there with Jimmy Hall and talk to him,
take a picture with him,
watch him perform, and it's incredibly inspiring to see somebody his age have so much energy. His voice is so strong and powerful. You meet a lot of people that just don't take care of themselves, musicians, and and they lose it. And Jimmy Hall is not one of those people. And it's very inspiring as a young vocalist to know that it's okay to take care of yourself. There's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself so that you can do it for a very long time. And he's still kicking it, man. It was very inspiring.
My two favorite was getting to meet John Frey Young from Blackstone Cherry, and also we played this festival called Highway 30 in Idaho. And last year that we played, Aaron Lewis headline. I got to talk with him for a few minutes because I was a huge Stain fan in high school, and just really neat to meet some of your heroes from back in the day, man. And like you said, for them to still be out there doing it and holding it down, man, it's inspiring, and it's two cool moments that I'll be with me forever. So
yeah, I would say my two favorite moments I've had talking with people is talking to Tyler Childers and then getting to meet Aaron Lewis. So
I'd say Wet Willie and opening up for Ray Wiley Hubbard was pretty cool too.
The legend.
He's a monster, man.
Yeah. He's a Texas legend.
Man.
You know who Ray Wiley Hubbard is?
I'm not too familiar, but I mean the name sounds familiar.
Gotcha. He's like Texas folk blues, like kind of Tony Joe White style, but like his own thing,
He tells really funny stories.
He and like as far as, like I mean, you think like the old hill country stuff of Mississippi, like the way that Texas would do it, kind of straightforward, but no rhythm per se, just telling a story, just storyteller folk blues. I don't know.
Nice. No, I'll have to check that out and become more familiar with it. I mean, it seems like there's so much good music that came from the South that, I'm still discovering new stuff that's come out a long time ago, I should say, but just kind of discovering, blues and Southern rock. It's been a lot of fun. There's so much good music that's come out from, down South.
It's that greasy home cooking.
We live in an area that they call the Americana Music Triangle, and it's like Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi,
a little bit of Arkansas,
Louisiana, maybe a little bit of Arkansas, I guess. And it's kind of like pretty much everything that's come out of this area is inspired popular music as a whole. Blues and country and rock and roll. It kind of all comes back, specifically to Mississippi. It's like the birthplace of American music. So there's a lot of great, Mississippi is notably a very poor state, but we're pretty wealthy in music and art, and we definitely feel very fortunate to be down here and to have that wealth of musical resource.
Yeah, I'm really hoping, once coronavirus decides to end, hopefully soon, that I'm going to go on a road trip down south, because what I've seen so far I really enjoy, but I need to discover it more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on.
You
Come
gotta
on
come
with
down.
it.
Say, come down and tour the Mississippi Blues Trail. Obviously, you want to go to like New Orleans and stuff like that, but when you come to Mississippi, definitely take a tour of the Mississippi Delta and the Blues Trail. I mean, there's juke joints all along the state that have blues markers where everybody played. B.B. King, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, very historic on the Chitlin circuit, like back in the 60s and stuff, and even before that. Very historic juke joints, and there's a lot of history on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You're very big foodie. You know, come get you some buttermilk biscuits and fried chicken.
oh my gosh. Making me hungry now. No, the food down south, oh my gosh, it's so good.
Oh, thank you.
If you haven't been to Louisiana and got you some Cajun cuisine, man, you have not experienced life at 100% yet.
Probably haven't.
Man, yeah, you gotta get down. It's the best. I'll put up against anybody.
Just about.
Well, I wanted to wrap up with one last question. Since you've mentioned some of the people you've played with, what's the best advice you've been given as a musician?
To not really just, to not give up, to learn to work through your differences, and don't try to focus so much on what's happening right now. A lot of times it's easy to get discouraged because, things are not happening as quickly as you would like them to. But I've had a lot of older musicians that have told us, you kind of have to envision the next 5 years and envision where you want to be and when you're there, and focus on that instead of focusing on what's going on right now. Because if you do that, you're just going to stay. I mean, it's not always discouraging. There's a lot of great things that happen, but you always have to look forward and you can't stop. A lot of bands, there's people that just aren't always willing to put in the work, but if you put in the work and you're persistent, you'll get there. And I think that's the mindset that we've always tried to keep in this band, and I think it's starting to pay off.
Oh, that's a good one.
I couldn't say it any better.
I guess no one can top that. That's a good one.
Great attitude. I mean, to do it, you just got to have a passion for it. I mean, it comes with hard work, but it's also, a labor of love if it's what you really want to do. And that's with anything in life. Anything worth having is not going to be a cakewalk to get. So, keep a great attitude, stay positive, and just keep trucking along, man. And eventually it'll work itself out. Nobody has a timeline. Nobody has the same amount of timeline of, when you reach, I guess, that success point. But I don't never think there's an end point. It's just a constant journey, especially when it comes to art. You're always just striving to just keep climbing higher and higher until, you just can't do it anymore at whatever time. So, like I said, just positive attitude and passion. That's it, pretty much.
Yeah. Just sing, just play. What's important is the music, and you gotta do. So just play, just sing, just do what you do.
Just play from the heart and play with passion and do it because you love it, not because you have to, and
buy lots of strings.
And
and
buy lots of guitar strings for me.
Inside joke.
Keep an extra set of strings by your amp.
I'm guessing someone breaks a lot of guitar strings.
Don't leave your amps guitars everywhere.
Yeah.
Watch for deer on the highway in Utah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Starting to creep up. We need to start the podcast.
We need to start the Strange Place podcast. We're
Please do.
Like writing credits on that a little bit,
Don't eat the catfish in Clarksdale.
Yeah. True. This is very true, actually.
We're going down the wormhole now.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm all for it. Well, thanks again, guys. I'm really looking forward to Strange Place when it comes out next month.
Thank you so much.
Right on.
We are. It's a whole year of work, and it's finally happening. So it's like a weight coming off your shoulders and just letting it fly. Thank you.
We're excited.
We hope everybody loves it, man, just as much as we do.
Well, yeah, if you're watching this, stay tuned for a new single coming out soon. And then Strange Place will be out worldwide on the 24th of September. And thank you so much for having us.
And make sure
Yeah,
that
my
the
pleasure.
pre-orders for all hard copies are available right now.
MagnoliaBayou.com. Just go there, and it's like pretty much right there on the front. You can't miss it.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. And hope to see you guys
You
down
as well.
south
Thank you
sometime.
so much.